The vast emptiness of space stretched beyond the observation deck of Outpost Taurus 7, where Admiral Vrex stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back. His scaled skin reflected the dim blue light as he stared at the holographic display showing the latest battle reports. The Dravarian hegemony had pushed the human forces back across 3 star systems in the past month alone. Their superior numbers and territorial advantage had proven effective against the United Systems Alliance's conventional fleet. Admiral, his second-in-command approached, touching his communication implant. "We've intercepted human military transmissions. They're deploying something called Colossus to the Arcturus front." Admiral Vrex's secondary eyes narrowed while his primary set remained fixed on the display. "Colossus? What class of vessel is this?" "Unknown, sir. But chatter suggests it's their new prototype. The humans are unusually confident." Vrex dismissed the notion with a wave of his lower right hand. Humans always display irrational optimism before defeat. It's their nature. Yet something in the intercepted transmissions troubled him. 20 cycles of warfare had taught him to recognize genuine human fear and its absence. Captain Amelia Shaw stood on the bridge of the USV Colossus, Earth's most advanced warship and the culmination of 15 years of secret technological development. At 3.2 kilometers in length, the Colossus dwarfed even the largest Dravarian dreadnoughts. But its true strength lay not in its size, but in systems no alien force had yet witnessed. "All departments report ready, Captain," said Commander Takashi, her executive officer. "Engineering confirms the Prometheus drive is stable at 87% capacity." Shaw nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the soft glow of the tactical displays surrounding her command chair. At 42, she had spent half her life fighting the Dravarian expansion. The scars on her face told the story of narrow escapes and battles lost. But today felt different. "Status of Arcturus colony?" she asked. Lieutenant Farah Hassan at communications spoke without looking up from her station. 27,000 civilians, Captain. Dravarian fleet estimated to arrive in 48 hours. Local defenses can delay them for perhaps 6 hours at most. Shaw's jaw tightened. "That's why we're here. Ensign Chen, plot a course for the Arcturus system. Full Prometheus burn once we clear the solar boundary." "Aye, Captain," replied the young navigator. "ETA 17 hours at maximum sustainable burn." Commander Takashi approached Shaw's chair and lowered his voice. "That's cutting it close. The drive hasn't been tested at sustained maximum for more than 12 hours. "Then this will be quite the field test, won't it?" Shaw replied with the hint of a smile. "Alert Director Okafor in engineering. I want hourly status reports on the drive." High above the bridge, nestled in a reinforced chamber at the heart of the massive vessel, the Prometheus drive pulsed with a light that seemed to bend reality around it. Unlike conventional fusion or antimatter systems, the drive harnessed principles of quantum field manipulation that had eluded alien scientists. It was humanity's greatest technological achievement and their most closely guarded secret. On Dravarian command vessel Inexorable Will, Fleet Commander Kralzen received the sensor reports with growing concern. His intelligence network had warned of a new human capital ship, but the readings now coming in defied explanation. "Verification." He barked at his sensor officer. "These readings cannot be accurate." The sensor officer, a veteran of 12 campaigns, adjusted her equipment with trembling hands. "Verified, Commander. The human vessel is generating energy signatures beyond our classification parameters, and its velocity, it's approaching at nearly twice the speed our models predicted possible for human technology." Kralzen's facial ridges flushed dark purple, a physiological sign of stress his species couldn't conceal. "How long until intercept with our Arcturus force?" "At current velocity, they will reach the Arcturus system approximately 7 hours before our primary invasion fleet." The commander slammed his fist against the tactical table. "Impossible. Their fastest vessels would require at least 30 hours to reach that position from their nearest base." But the data remained unchanged. Whatever the humans had created was rewriting the rules of interstellar warfare. Contact High Command, Kralzin ordered. Request immediate reinforcements to Arcturus, and send a priority alert to all forward battle groups. Classification: Extreme Threat. Deep within the Colossus, Dr. Amara Okafor moved through engineering with the confidence of someone who had designed every system around her. The Nigerian-born physicist had spent the last decade developing the technologies that made this ship possible. Now she monitored the Prometheus drive with maternal attention. "Push it to 90%, she instructed her team. "The containment field is holding better than expected." Her assistant, Dr. Park, looked up from his console with concern. "The simulations never tested beyond 85% for this duration." Okafor smiled. "That's because I built in safety margins I didn't tell anyone about, not even the captain." As if summoned by her words, Shaw's voice came through the communication system. "Engineering, this is the captain. I need more speed." "Already ahead of you, Captain," Okafor replied. "I can give you 92% without risking drive stability. That should reduce our arrival time by almost 2 hours." A brief pause. "Do it. And Doctor, I need the Spectre system fully operational when we arrive." Dr. Okafor's expression turned serious. "The Spectre system is still experimental, Captain. We've never deployed it outside controlled conditions." "Then I suggest you solve any remaining issues in the next 15 hours. Shaw out." Okafor turned to her team, all of whom had stopped to listen. "You heard the captain. The Spectre system just became our priority." Aboard the USV Colossus, Captain Shaw gathered her senior officers in the Strategic Command Center. The holographic display showed the Arcturus system, with real-time updates on the approaching Draverian forces. "The colony's outer defenses will fall within hours of the enemy's arrival," explained Major Diaz, the ship's Marine commander. 27,000 civilians have been moved to the central shelters, but evacuation is impossible without fleet support. Shaw nodded grimly. "Which is why we're not evacuating. We're standing our ground." A murmur passed through the assembled officers. Commander Takashi voiced their collective concern. "Captain, even with Colossus's capabilities, we'll be outnumbered at least 8-1. 9-1, actually," Shaw corrected. "Latest intelligence shows they've diverted additional forces once they detected our approach." "That's suicide," someone whispered. Shaw's eyes flashed. "That's exactly what they're meant to think. Their panic at our approach has already caused them to make their first mistake, concentrating their forces." She activated a secure protocol on the holographic display, revealing the new set of tactical options that only she and select officers had clearance to view. "The Colossus was never designed to fight conventionally," she continued. "Operation Thunderbolt begins the moment we enter the Arcturus system. Primary objectives: protect the colony and demonstrate the full capabilities of this vessel to the enemy." Dr. Okafor stepped forward. "Captain, I should mention that using all systems simultaneously has never been attempted. The power requirements alone will be managed," Shaw interrupted, "because the alternative is watching another human world fall. I've seen enough colonies burn, Doctor. Not this time." The meeting concluded with detailed assignments for each department. As the officers filed out, Commander Takashi remained behind. "Permission to speak freely, Captain." Shaw nodded. "The Admiralty authorized this mission as a show of force, not a decisive engagement. If we reveal all of Colossus's capabilities at once, we lose the element of surprise for future engagements." She finished his thought. "I'm aware of the strategic implications, but sometimes, Takashi, winning isn't about the next battle. It's about changing how your enemy sees you." She turned back to the holographic display, studying the Draverian fleet formations. "They've never truly feared us. That changes today." The Prometheus drive glowed with increasing intensity as the Colossus approached the Arcturus system. The massive ship decelerated from its unprecedented speed, the space around it seeming to ripple as conventional physics reasserted themselves. Arcturus system perimeter in 3 minutes, announced Ensign Chen. Colony status. Dravarian advance forces have engaged outer defense platforms. Captain Shaw stood from her command chair. All hands to battle stations. Deploy defensive screens and power up all weapon systems. Activate the Spectre system. Throughout the enormous vessel, crews rushed to their positions. Unlike the chaotic scramble one might expect, each movement was practiced and precise, the result of months of intensive training. In engineering, Dr. Okafor initiated the Spectre system's startup sequence. The ship's power grid fluctuated momentarily before stabilizing at a higher output level. Spectre system online, she reported. Quantum field integrity at 97% and holding. On the bridge, tactical displays updated with new information as the Colossus's advanced sensor suite mapped the battlefield. 9 Dravarian warships surrounded the colony with their main fleet, 27 vessels strong, approaching from the system's edge. "They've detected us," reported Lieutenant Commander Reyes at Tactical. "Enemy vessels breaking formation and moving to intercept." Shaw's expression remained calm. "Let them come. Deploy Spectre drones and prepare for Phase 1. From concealed bays along the Colossus's hull, hundreds of small, unmanned craft launched silently into space. Unlike conventional drones, these devices were barely visible to the naked eye. Swarms of advanced technology that carried no weapons, but something far more valuable. The approaching Dravarian vessels opened fire from maximum range, energy weapons and projectiles streaking across space toward the human warship. "Defensive screens holding," reported Reyes. "No significant damage." Shaw nodded. "Begin Phase 1. Let's show them why they should be afraid." The Spectre drones accelerated toward the Dravarian formation, each one carrying a fraction of the most advanced electronic warfare system ever created by human hands. As they penetrated the enemy formation, the true nature of humanity's new weapon was about to be revealed. On the Dravarian command ship, alarms suddenly blared across every deck. Sensor readings became chaotic, communication systems failed, and weapons targeting computers displayed impossible contradictions. "What's happening?" demanded Fleet Commander Krell Zen as his bridge descended into chaos. His sensor officer stared at her displays in disbelief. "Sir, sensors are showing hundreds of human warships appearing throughout our formation." The tactical display confirmed this impossible scenario, where moments before had been a single human vessel, now appeared to be an entire fleet, each ship identical to the first. And as the Dravarian forces watched in growing horror, these phantom vessels began to move with perfect coordination, surrounding them from all sides. The shadow of the Colossus had fallen upon them, and nothing in their experience had prepared them for what would come next. The Dravarian fleet commanders faced a tactical nightmare. Their sensors showed hundreds of identical human warships where physics insisted only one could exist. Communication channels filled with frantic reports as weapon systems targeted phantom vessels that disappeared and reappeared elsewhere moments later. "This is impossible," Fleet Commander Kralzen hissed, his secondary breathing passages flaring with stress. "No species possesses quantum duplication technology." His tactical officer's voice trembled. "Sir, our forward batteries are reporting successful hits on 3 human vessels, but there's no debris, no energy signatures indicating damage. It's as if we're firing at ghosts." On the view screen, the massive human warship, the only real one among the phantoms, advanced steadily toward the colony world, its hull absorbing direct hits without visible damage. "All vessels, concentrate fire on these coordinates," Kralzen ordered, highlighting the original ship's position. "Ignore sensor readings and target that location only." But even as he gave the command, the tactical display shifted again. Now every phantom ship emitted identical energy signatures, making it impossible to distinguish the real vessel from its duplicates. "The Spectre system is performing beyond expectations, Captain," reported Dr. Okafor from Engineering. "Quantum field integrity holding at 95%. The Dravarians are completely disoriented." On the bridge of the Colossus, Captain Shaw watched the enemy fleet's confused movements with grim satisfaction. Status of the colony defenses. Holding for now, Lieutenant Hassan replied. But 3 Dravarian cruisers have broken through the orbital perimeter. They'll reach bombardment position in 13 minutes. Shaw nodded. Perfect. They're dividing their forces exactly as predicted. Commander Takashi, prepare for Phase 2. The executive officer input his authorization code into the tactical system, unlocking a new set of options. Phase 2 protocols enabled, Captain. Shaw addressed the bridge crew. This is what we trained for. Those cruisers think they're breaking through to an undefended target. Let's disabuse them of that notion. Throughout the massive warship, specialized systems hummed to life. Unlike the Spectre system, which created phantom duplicates through quantum field manipulation, these systems were altogether more tangible in their effects. Kinetic lance batteries 1 through 6 target the lead Dravarian cruiser, Shaw ordered. Engineering, divert auxiliary power to forward weapons grid. Dr. Okafor's voice came through the communication system. Diverting power now. Kinetic lances charged to 80% capacity and rising. The Colossus turned ponderously, bringing its main batteries to bear on the Dravarian vessels approaching the colony. Unlike conventional mass drivers or energy weapons, the kinetic lances operated on principles of localized gravity manipulation, accelerating projectiles to velocities that approached a significant fraction of light speed. Target locked, announced Lieutenant Commander Reyes. Kinetic lances at full charge. Shaw's eyes narrowed. Fire. 6 brilliant beams of concentrated force lanced out from the Colossus, crossing the vast distance to the lead Dravarian cruiser in seconds. Where they struck, the laws of physics exacted their toll. The cruiser's shields, designed to disperse energy weapons and deflect conventional projectiles, offered no protection against the kinetic force delivered with such precision. The vessel shuddered, its hull buckling inward at the impact points before catastrophic structural failure tore it apart from within. The destruction was so complete that the ship seemed to simply vanish, replaced by an expanding cloud of debris traveling outward at tremendous speed. The bridge crew of the Colossus remained silent, witnessing the awful effectiveness of their weapon system. Captain Shaw showed no satisfaction, only grim resolve. Target the second cruiser, she ordered quietly. In the colony's central command bunker, Governor Miranda Chen watched the space battle through fragmented sensor data. When the first Dravarian cruiser disappeared from tactical displays, she initially assumed sensor malfunction. Confirm that reading, she instructed her operations officer. Did we lose a contact? The officer stared at his screens in disbelief. No, ma'am. The Dravarian cruiser was. It's gone. Completely destroyed. He looked up, eyes wide. The Colossus just eliminated a heavy cruiser with a single volley. Murmurs spread through the command center as the implications sank in. For 3 years, the colony had lived under constant threat of Dravarian attack, their defensive capabilities hopelessly outmatched. The arrival of a single human warship had been met with cautious hope. Now that hope flared brighter. Second cruiser changing course, reported the sensor operator. They're attempting to retreat. On the main display, they watched as the massive human vessel adjusted its position slightly. Another series of brilliant energy pulses lanced out, catching the fleeing Dravarian ship. The result was the same: catastrophic destruction. Governor Chen's comm unit chimed with an incoming transmission. This is Captain Amelia Shaw of the USV Colossus. Governor, we've cleared the immediate threat to your colony. Please maintain your defensive posture while we deal with the main Dravarian fleet. Chen felt a surge of emotion she hadn't allowed herself in years. Genuine hope. Understood, Captain. And thank you. Fleet Commander Kralzen watched in horror as the tactical display confirmed the destruction of his advance force. 2 heavy cruisers, ships that normally required an entire human battle group to challenge, had been destroyed within minutes by a single vessel. All forces disengage from the phantom targets, he ordered, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. Form defensive formation Delta and prepare for concentrated assault on the human vessel's last confirmed position. His second-in-command approached cautiously. Commander, perhaps we should consider withdrawal. If this human weapon can... Silence. Kralzen hissed. The hegemony does not retreat. 27 ships against 1, no matter how advanced, are overwhelming odds. As his fleet regrouped, the confusion caused by the phantom duplicates began to subside. The Dravarian sensors, recalibrated to filter out the quantum distortions, gradually revealed the true position of the Colossus. Target acquired, announced his weapons officer. All vessels have firing solutions. Kralzen's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Fire all batteries. Let's see how this human abomination fares against concentrated fire from the entire fleet. On the Colossus, alarms sounded as sensors detected the coordinated targeting locks from the Dravarian fleet. They've adapted to the Spectre system faster than expected, noted Commander Takashi. Multiple weapons locks detected. Captain Shaw remained calm. They're intelligent opponents. Dr. Okafor, status of the defensive systems. Gravitic shields at maximum capacity, replied the scientist. Structural integrity field reinforced. We can withstand their combined fire for approximately 8 minutes before shield collapse. Shaw considered this information. 8 minutes is more than enough time. Deploy countermeasures and prepare for Phase 3. Around the massive warship, specialized emitters activated, projecting a layered defense system unlike anything the Dravarians had encountered. The first volley from the enemy fleet struck these defenses with tremendous force, energy weapons, and kinetic projectiles converging on the human vessel from multiple angles. The gravitic shields flared brilliantly but held, dispersing the enormous energy across artificial gravitational fields that redirected the force away from the hull. Shields holding at 82%, reported Lieutenant Park at the engineering station. Structural integrity field stable. Shaw nodded. Returned fire with secondary batteries only. I want them to think we're struggling. Smaller weapon emplacements along the Colossus's hull responded, sending precisely targeted energy pulses toward the Dravarian formation. These shots, while damaging, were deliberately less devastating than the kinetic lances had been. Enemy vessels adjusting formation, reported Lieutenant Commander Reyes. They're moving to surround us. Let them, Shaw replied. Continue defensive operations and prepare the Mobius system for deployment. Dr. Okafor, I need full power to the central emitter array. In engineering, Dr. Okafor's team worked with frantic precision, rerouting power from non-essential systems to the ship's most classified weapon. Captain, the Mobius system has never been field-tested at full capacity, Okafor reminded her. The theoretical models suggest we can affect a sphere approximately 8 kilometers in diameter, but beyond that, the models will have to be enough. Shaw interrupted. Their fleet is concentrating in attack formation, exactly where we want them. As the Dravarian vessels closed in, forming a three-dimensional sphere around the Colossus, they continued their relentless barrage. The human warship's defenses gradually weakened under the assault. Shields at 41% and falling, reported Lieutenant Park. Structural integrity compromised in sections 23 through 29. Shaw watched the tactical display showing the enemy formation with intense focus. Almost there. Hold position. Commander Takashi leaned closer to her chair. Captain, if we wait much longer, we'll lose our defensive capability entirely. That's the idea, Commander, she replied quietly. They need to believe they're winning. The bridge shuddered as a particularly powerful hit breached the outer shields, sending power fluctuations through nearby systems. Shields at 28%. Park updated. Critical failure imminent. Shaw straightened in her chair. Now, activate the Mobius system. Throughout the massive vessel, power surged toward the central emitter array, a specialized system built around principles of physics that the Dravarians had never explored. At its core lay humanity's greatest technological breakthrough: controlled manipulation of space-time itself. In engineering, Dr. Okafor watched the power readings with a mixture of scientific fascination and dread. Mobius system activating, spatial distortion field forming. From emitters arranged around the Colossus's central hull section, invisible waves of energy pulsed outward. Unlike conventional weapons that delivered kinetic force or destructive energy, the Mobius system targeted something far more fundamental, the very fabric of reality within a defined area. On the Dravarian vessels surrounding the human warship, the first sign of something wrong came from their navigational systems. Officers reported sudden, impossible changes in relative position, as if the space between vessels was simultaneously expanding and contracting. Fleet Commander Kralzen felt a wave of disorientation wash over him as the view screen showed distortions in the visible light spectrum. "What's happening?" "Report." His science officer stared at readings that defied explanation. "Sir, we're detecting massive space-time distortions emanating from the human vessel. The local gravitational field is folding somehow." "Impossible," Kralzen snarled. "No species can manipulate." He never finished the sentence. Throughout the Dravarian formation, space itself seemed to twist in ways that violated fundamental laws of physics. Vessels that had been kilometers apart suddenly occupied the same coordinates, with catastrophic results. Others found themselves impossibly far from their previous positions, their navigational systems unable to reconcile the new reality. On the Colossus's bridge, the tactical display showed the chaotic disintegration of the Dravarian formation. Ships collided where physics insisted they should be separated by vast distances. Others drifted helplessly, their propulsion systems struggling against gravitational eddies that shouldn't exist. "Mobius field stable at 92% capacity," reported Dr. Okafor. "Spatial distortion extending to 7.8 kilometers from our position." Shaw nodded grimly. "Maintain field integrity for another 60 seconds, then gradually power down. Let's not strain the system on its first deployment." The bridge crew watched in silent awe as the once organized Dravarian fleet dissolved into chaos. Of the 27 vessels that had surrounded them, 7 had been destroyed outright by spatial collisions. The others drifted in disarray, their systems compromised by the fundamental rewriting of local physics. "Mobius field dissipating," announced Dr. Okafor after the designated time. "All systems returning to normal parameters." Shaw stood from her command chair. "Damage assessment." "Shields regenerating at standard rate," replied Lieutenant Park. "Hull breaches in sections 23 through 29 contained. Repair teams responding." "And the enemy fleet?" Lieutenant Commander Rice studied his tactical display. 17 vessels showing minimal power signatures. They appear to have lost main propulsion and weapons capability. 3 vessels still operational but withdrawing at maximum speed. Shaw nodded. "Let them go. They'll carry the message better than any transmission we could send." She turned to communications. "Lieutenant Hassan, open a channel to all remaining Dravarian vessels." When the channel was established, Shaw spoke with measured calm. "This is Captain Amelia Shaw of the United Systems Alliance vessel Colossus. Your fleet is defeated. Your attack on a civilian colony has been repelled. Those ships still capable of movement may retrieve survivors and withdraw from this system. Any vessel that approaches the colony will be destroyed." She paused, then added, "The USV Colossus will remain in the Arcturus system to ensure the safety of its inhabitants. Consider this a demonstration of humanity's resolve and our capability." Shaw out. As the transmission ended, the bridge fell silent. The enormity of what they had accomplished settled over the crew, not just a military victory, but a fundamental shift in the balance of power between species. Commander Takashi broke the silence. "Orders, Captain." Shaw returned to her chair. "Begin rescue operations for any Dravarian survivors. Alert medical to prepare for alien casualties. And send a full report to Alliance Command. They'll want to know exactly what the Colossus can do in actual combat conditions." She gazed at the view screen showing the scattered remains of the once mighty Dravarian fleet. Today we've shown them that humanity is not just another species to be conquered. We've become something they've never faced before, a force they cannot understand and cannot counter. In the weeks that followed, news of the Battle of Arcturus spread throughout known space. The Dravarian hegemony, for the first time in its expansion, halted all military operations against human territories. Emergency councils were convened among their leadership to reassess their strategic position. On Arcturus colony, Governor Chen stood beside Captain Shaw on an observation platform overlooking the capital city. Above them, the massive form of the Colossus hung in low orbit, visible even in daylight, a constant reminder of humanity's newfound protection. The xenoanthropologists tell me the Dravarians have a specific word for what happened here, Chen remarked. Their language doesn't translate perfectly, but it's something akin to God from the machine, a force that upends all expectations and changes the course of history. Shaw's expression remained neutral. We're not gods, Governor. Just humans who've learned to use physics in ways they haven't discovered yet. To them, that distinction may not matter. Chen gestured toward the city below, where people moved about their daily lives with a confidence that had been absent for years. What matters is that for the first time since this war began, we're not just surviving. We're advancing. Later, alone in her ready room aboard the Colossus, Captain Shaw reviewed the classified reports from Alliance intelligence. The Dravarian High Command had issued new directives to their fleet. Avoid human settlements with extreme prejudice, particularly any system where the vessel designated Colossus was detected. She closed the report and gazed out the viewport at the stars beyond. The Colossus had done more than win a battle. It had demonstrated that humanity possessed technologies the Dravarians could neither understand nor counter. Fear had replaced contempt in the minds of their enemies. But Shaw took no pleasure in that fear. She had seen enough of war to know that frightened enemies could be even more dangerous than confident ones. The Colossus wasn't the end of this conflict, merely the beginning of its next phase. She activated her communication panel. Dr. Okafor, what's the status of the Prometheus drive upgrades? On schedule, Captain, came the reply. The data from our transit to Arcturus has provided valuable insights. I believe we can increase efficiency by at least 15% in the next iteration. Shaw nodded. Good, because I suspect we'll be needed elsewhere soon enough. As if confirming her words, her communication panel chimed with an incoming priority message from Alliance Command. New orders, new threats, new battles to fight. The shadow of the Colossus would soon fall upon other stars.